Did you know the American Civil War was won and lost not just by generals, but by the very tools of war they held in their hands? This conflict was a turning point, a brutal meeting of Old World tactics and new industrial-era technology. From precision rifles that could strike a target from half a kilometer away to massive cannons that reshaped the landscape. The weapons of the Civil War tell a story of innovation, desperation, and the dawn of modern warfare. Let's start with the powerhouse of the North, the Union's infantry arsenal. The undisputed king of the battlefield was the Springfield Model 1861. This wasn't your grandfather's musket. It was a .58 caliber percussion rifle, a true workhorse. While older smoothbore muskets were wildly inaccurate, the Springfield's rifled barrel gave it astonishing accuracy, hitting targets up to 500 meters away. This technological leap allowed Union soldiers to dominate long-range fire. What made the Springfield so effective was its ammunition, the Minié ball. This conical cylindrical bullet was slightly smaller than the barrel, making it easy to ram down, but it had a hollow base that expanded upon firing, gripping the rifling. This meant faster loading under pressure and deadly accuracy. The North's industrial might churned out nearly 1 million of these rifles, a clear symbol of their manufacturing superiority. But as the war dragged on, an even more revolutionary weapon appeared, the Spencer repeating rifle. This was a game changer. A soldier armed with a Spencer could unleash 7 shots in just a few seconds. Its secret was a tubular magazine hidden inside the buttstock. While a standard rifleman was fumbling to reload after a single shot, a Union cavalryman with a Spencer could deliver a continuous, devastating volley of fire. Imagine the shock and terror of Confederate soldiers facing this unprecedented firepower. It gave Union cavalry a massive advantage in fast-paced skirmishes and ambushes, effectively turning a small squad into a formidable fighting force. Now, let's talk arms. In the chaos of a cavalry charge or a desperate last stand, a reliable pistol was a soldier's best friend. The icon of the era, carried by officers and cavalrymen on both sides, was the Colt Navy Model 1851. This .36 caliber revolver was a masterpiece of design. It was perfectly balanced, easy to handle, and surprisingly accurate. While it didn't have the sheer stopping power of heavier revolvers, its low recoil made it dependable when every second counted. Over 200,000 were produced, and carrying a Colt Navy was a mark of prestige, a symbol of rank and readiness. But firearms weren't the only weapon at a cavalryman's disposal. The Model 1860 cavalry saber was an essential piece of kit. This wasn't the clumsy, heavy sword of old. It was lighter, more agile, and its curved blade was perfectly designed for slashing from horseback. The older, straight-bladed sabers were so cumbersome they were nicknamed wrist breakers. The Model 1860, by contrast, was built for speed and mobility. It was a brutal personal tool in an increasingly impersonal war. Facing the industrial might of the Union, the Confederacy had to be resourceful. Lacking the North's manufacturing capacity, they turned to imports. And their infantry's backbone became the British-made Enfield Pattern 1853 rifle. The Enfield was rugged, reliable, and incredibly effective at long range. In fact, many soldiers on both sides debated whether the Enfield or the Springfield was the superior rifle. It was so valued that Confederate agents worked tirelessly to smuggle shiploads of them past the Union blockade. The South also excelled in the use of specialized, high-tech weaponry for its elite units. Entered the Whitworth rifle. This British-designed marvel was arguably the most advanced long-range weapon of the entire war. Instead of traditional rifling, it had a unique hexagonal barrel that fired a matching hexagonal bullet. This design gave it unparalleled accuracy, allowing a skilled marksman to hit a man-sized target from over 1,500 meters away, that's nearly a mile. Confederate sharpshooters, armed with Whitworths, became the terror of the Union Army. Hiding in trees or behind stone walls, they could pick off high-ranking officers and artillery crews with impunity. They were the pioneers of modern sniping, changing battlefield dynamics forever. At first glance, it looks like a typical 9-shot revolver. But look closer and you'll see a second larger barrel right underneath the main one. This was a smoothbore barrel designed to fire a blast of buckshot, essentially a small, single-shot shotgun. This grape-shot feature gave a Confederate officer a tremendous tactical advantage. In the heat of close combat, after emptying his revolver, he had one last, devastating surprise for his enemy. It was 2 guns in one, a brilliant and fearsome piece of Confederate ingenuity. Now, let's zoom out to the bigger picture. The artillery that dominated the battlefield. The most respected and widely used field gun by both armies was the 12-pounder Napoleon. This bronze smoothbore cannon was the definition of reliability and versatility. It could fire solid iron cannonballs to smash enemy fortifications or tear through formations. But its most terrifying ammunition was canister and shrapnel rounds. A canister shot turned the Napoleon into a giant shotgun, firing hundreds of metal balls that would shred advancing infantry lines. Its presence was pivotal in almost every major battle, from Antietam to the thunderous artillery duels at Gettysburg. The idea was that you would throw it and it would land on its nose, triggering the percussion cap and detonating. It was used during sieges like Vicksburg and Port Hudson, but it had a major flaw. If it didn't land perfectly on its nose, it was a dud. There are even accounts of clever Confederate soldiers catching the failed grenades thrown into their trenches and simply tossing them right back at the Union lines. It was a bold idea, but one that showed the trial-and-error nature of wartime innovation. From the mass-produced Springfield rifle that armed 1,000,000 men to the specialized Whitworth that could kill from a mile away, these weapons were more than just metal and wood. They were the engines of change. They drove new tactics, created new kinds of soldiers, and bridged the gap between the age of bayonet charges and the dawn of modern industrialized warfare. The American Civil War was a brutal, bloody conflict, and the arsenal it produced left a permanent mark on the history of how we fight. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the Civil War armory interesting, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into military history. See you next time.